Look at this fool, reading his romance novels, kicking his feet and everything like an idiot. This fool, otherwise known as me. Look, I cannot let my friends know I read romance, because this is just too peak. I mean, come on, the artist really knew what they were doing with this panel. Just take a look at it. How do you not feel the love and tenderness in the air? Oh. You know, in this moment of self-realization, maybe it is just me who is very into these oh so many cliches that we find in these stories. Or maybe it's just me self-inserting myself into these characters that make me feel that moment of sweetness so intensely. Am I just lonely? It's been a month since I uploaded my last video, and I wanted to show you what I have learned over the past few weeks. It's honestly hard to say what I wanted to practice on because there are so many different things that an artist needs to learn. Like on the top of my head, there's the shape, there's anatomy, there's composition, there's color theory. There's just a whole bunch of other things that make a piece, if that makes any sense. Taking that manhwa that I've been reading at the beginning of the video, I'm just gonna use that for the general analysis what I have seen. We start out with the main characters, which rely on the artist to properly sketch the anatomy of the body, of course with some stylistic elements. Then we see some colors added, where the colors help shape the characters into a more cohesive piece that helps the viewer understand the context of the material. Lastly, some finishing touches like rendering and some effects. It all ties the piece together to make this stunning piece of art. On a side note, I guess having some backstory on how these two characters ended up in each other's arms really sell the piece together. So now comes the question of, as beginner artists, where do we even start to create pieces like this? Yep, anatomy. Personally, because I feel like it's one of my worst subjects to study so far. There are 3 videos that I happened to randomly stumble across when I searched up anatomy tutorial for beginners. Easy Croquis Level 1 for beginners, how to avoid frustration. This video is what I've used to get started on drawing the torso since it helped make me visualize guidelines for the torso of the body. Basic structure of where the shoulders and the crotch line is gets tied together through simple trapezoids. Add some minor touches like these arms and here we have something that looks like a body. How to go from drawing boxes to bodies. It highlights the use of using primitive shapes to get the proportions of the body parts. It also helps with seeing the body in a 3D form, which is very useful for perspective drawing. Further into the video, it explains the steps to sketch the more intricate details of the body, where it is essentially up to the artist to study the human body. Body Anatomy Pose Class A to Z Tutorial. This final video displays drawing in a more free-flow form. It highlights the flow of your pen strokes as well as the guides that you put down to help paint a more accurate representation of the human body. With this, I combined all 3 of these elements to draw a body. So let me show you the progress throughout the weeks of practicing. During the first week, all I really did was just start off with simple croquis where I would draw the line of action right here, as well as these lines here, as well as here, to indicate where the shoulder and the hips should go. Alongside that, draw these lines here and here, with these right here and here to help form the idea of what a torso should look like. An issue that I've always had with sketching these torsos was the sheer amount of information that you need to know in order to make a torso actually look like a torso. So starting off simple really helped me get into the habit of observing proportions in relation to each body part. Once I got more comfortable, I began drawing the more intricate details of the torso. As we can see here, we can easily tell the front of the shoulders, the biceps, the forearms, the pectorals, the abdominals, as well as the quads. Though they might not be anatomically correct, but I'm still working on it. At least we get the general idea of what the body is supposed to look like. Of course, at a certain point in time, I've kind of gotten bored of drawing the same thing over and over again. So I decided, why not incorporate something that I am a lot more comfortable with, like painting. So for this piece, this is exactly what I did. If I turn off these layers right here, and turn on this layer, I think, I would start off the same way by sketching the line of action, and then the 2 trapezoids to indicate the torso as well as the hips. And then I would finally go on to drawing the more intricate details of the body. Right here, the arms, the back, torso, legs. I guess you get the general idea. And then I would proceed with painting the rest of the body. But painting is a different video, so we'll get on to that in the future. For this piece, I've kind of taken a different approach. Instead of sketching my usual line art and painting within the lines, I've decided to paint the whole entire process. Let me show you what I mean by this. If I turn off these layers and turn this one on, I've done essentially the exact same process where I'd first paint in the head, draw the line of action, paint the torso as well as the hips, and then add lines to indicate where the legs go, like right here and right there. Not only that, the arms go here, and then by using darker values, that would help me indicate where the clothing goes, as indicated by here, here, as well as there. I think this kind of experimentation helped me get out of a rigid formula to always follow. It helped me become more dynamic with the choices that I make when painting these bodies. Honestly, the key takeaway from this month of learning really just comes down to sticking with only a handful of videos to start practicing a certain element in art. In my case, I only chose to use the practices of 3 videos on anatomy and built on it. Forcing myself to only use the practices of 3 videos helped me stay focused on what my goals are, and I didn't feel the overwhelming dread of knowing that there are more videos to learn from. This is something that I really struggled with when I first started out with art, because the act of dreaming is so much easier than doing. Anyways, that's pretty much it for my video. If you want, feel free to drop all your critiques down in the comment section below, because who knows if somebody else finds this video helpful to their own art journey. Taking whatever pieces I've made and correcting those mistakes may prove to be useful to others. With that being said, it's time to hit the sketchbooks, because practice never ends, so chop chop, get to it.